Thank you, Kate. It is such an honor to be here with such a pristine panel of speakers and peacekeepers. Greetings also from San Francisco. We're in the morning right now. The sun is just coming up and it's beautiful outside. Peace Pivot is a newly formed grassroots organization of Americans who have joined hands to oppose the new Cold War. We are a rainbow coalition of Asians, Blacks, Latinos, Muslims, whites, and immigrants across the United States. We have a very strong commitment to fight against the US new Cold War policies that may end up in military confrontation. These Cold War policies are counterproductive and have dire consequences for ordinary US citizens and the world community. The unique aspect of Pivot to Peace is the large contingent of Chinese Americans in the core group and as sponsors of the organization. Chinese Americans feel betrayed by our American government in this Cold War. The FBI Chief Christopher Wray declared all Chinese in America are potential spies under the whole of society theory. As a result, over 100 Chinese American scientists are being persecuted for minor process crimes and another 1,000 under investigation for espionage economic crimes. A Chinese American businessman in San Francisco was harassed by the FBI office for selling some audio equipment to the Chinese consulate office. And the latest is nonprofit community agencies that associate with China, such as the US China Friendship Association that has been around for 40 years, are specifically called out for suspicion of carrying out espionage campaigns against the United States. That kind of tactics towards Americans who happen to like China and enjoy association with the Chinese people and not necessary for political reasons are oppressive and chilling and a violation of the civil and political rights. In February of this year, the Chinese community organized a huge demonstration in San Francisco to fight racism and support China in its fight against COVID-19. At that demonstration, 1,000 people, mainly Chinese Americans, showed up. We marched through the streets of San Francisco and we gave local and international media coverage. By the way, of all the major cities in the United States, San Francisco is the city with the lowest death rates from COVID-19. Why? I think because we started wearing masks early on, something we learned from China in its handling of the pandemic. But after the pandemic hit the United States, we were not able to take it to the streets anymore. So we joined Pivot to Peace and started organizing peace efforts with a broad-based group of individuals who love humanity and our country, the United States of America. What we need very desperately is the opportunity to level the playing field against the biased one-sided opinions that dominate American mainstream media and challenge the censorships. Recently, PBS pulled a documentary about China's poverty alleviation program, not for any reason except it shows a very humane story of poor people in villages being helped by Chinese cadres. And Netflix is being pressured by a group of right-wing US senators to cancel the production of a fantasy movie written by a Chinese writer by the name of Liu Xiyan because she had made some comments about Xinjiang that was not politically correct to them. The powers converge between the United States politicians and the mainstream media so that the public can hear only one side of the story. Is that democratic? But it's also very dangerous because the people are being persuaded and we need to really occupy a larger space in that corner. Now, in the 6 months since Pivot to Peace was formed, we have produced 2 informative webinars to educate the American public about the Cold War. The first webinar was viewed by 15,000 people. It is very small compared to the 1 million people who read the New York Times. But still, we're making a small dent. But if more of us do webinars or contribute stories about the benefits of US-China cooperation in social media, our aggregate efforts may help spread the message more. Our second webinar is still being shared, so please go to our website and view it. We've also prepared Chinese subtitles so non-English speaking Chinese people can view it. This fall, we are planning 2 more short webinars with a focus on how the US can benefit from working cooperatively with China, especially on the environment. Maybe at some point we'll get to the 1 million number, But for now, let's just make sure the mainstream media is not the only voice in this war, that our voice counts too. We could do it if we stand together to push back on US hegemony, xenophobia, and demand peace. We need to keep submitting editorials, letters, and yes, they throw them away. They never print them, but they get to read them. And I think our voice will hopefully make a difference. Thank you so much for joining this webinar.